All right, my financially intentional people. I'm back with our credit expert, Shante Nicole, and we are going to discuss like how to get started on your credit journey or how to reboot your credit if you are in a situation where you have to rebuild. So first of all, hey
Hey girl,
Shante.
hey, thanks for having me back.
Of course, of course. And I just love having you on because you have all the credit game. But this is like a really important topic because actually I posted about my bankruptcy and my stories a couple days ago, and people were really interested in how I rebuilt from a bankruptcy. And I didn't have any expertise back then. That was in like
Right.
2010 when I filed bankruptcy. And so I just did what they told me to do in the bankruptcy paperwork because you basically have to
Yes,
take a
you do.
class. And
Trustees
so,
have to prove stuff.
uh,
Yeah, girl.
yes, yes. So I did not do much in an informed manner, but it'll be nice to have some gems on how to rebuild credit, your expertise, what you have seen. So, oh, but before we start on that, I want to mention that Shantae is doing a 30-day challenge and it started yesterday. But if you sign up today, which is March 28th, you can get in on the challenge. But this is the very last day she's going to let
Very
people
last day
in.
because I
So,
love you and your
um,
audience.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I will put the link in the show notes to join this free challenge. But anyway, diving right in, let's talk about steps people need to take to either start their credit journey or to rebuild.
So I'm gonna touch on the rebuild first because most adults have credit. They just have made some very poor decisions, and that's gonna tie into starting from scratch. There may be a little bit of differences, but not many, because rebuilding is also almost like starting from scratch. Like you're rebuilding, okay? So the first thing is, and I love analogies, and people always say you use the best analogies. So I'm patting myself on the back, and hopefully, like
You
it's
do.
just it can be complicated topic to talk about. So I try to put it in like real life people's terms. So the first thing is I see people all the time in my group, or people ask me, like, they tell me the goals and say, "What do I do?" I'm like, "I don't know." If you go buy a house, you don't ask the repairman, "What do I need to fix?" before he inspects the house. So you need to figure out what your starting point is. Like, and what does that mean? Inspect your credit report. Understand how to read it. Most people don't even know how to read the report. They're like, "I don't know what this means." And this means it has terms, it has dates, it has status messages, it has remarks, everything. You need to know this information. And it's not rocket science, it's just scary to face. And if people feel any ounce of confusion, they just sweep it under the rug, because confusion and despair and frustration and stress, like, kick rocks. Like, I don't want to deal with any of this. But then where does that leave you? In the same position year after year after year. And I hear people say, "Well, my credit's just going to be bad. So, you know, whatever." Like, no, 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 no. There's a cure. People just don't know. And then some people out here taking the wrong medicine. So now let me start talking about that. But anyway, so yeah, we need to make sure that we have the right treatment. We need to know how sick we are, and what sickness is it. So is it that you have high credit card usage? Is it that you have lots of collections? Are the collections medical bills or not? Do you have any credit cards? Do you have a card note? What's your interest? Like, there's so many factors, right? So let's just talk about the inspection. I call myself the credit GPS guide. Okay, if you tell me where you're trying to go, I'm gonna tell you exactly which direction to take, but I have to know where you're starting. All right. You're not going to get in a car, tell your GPS, "I'm trying to get to New York City to, I don't know, the Empire State Building." And then it's like, "Well, I don't know where you're at." So I don't know how to tell you to get there. And if you're in California, I'm in DC, and we're both trying to get to the same destination, GPS not going to tell us to go the same way. Our starting points are different. And so inspect your credit. It's like inspecting a car or inspecting a house. Figure out what's wrong. You don't know what to fix if you don't know what's the matter. So that's the first step. And then the credit scores. A lot of people tend to forget about the reports, and they just worry about that 3-digit number. I know we love it, but it comes from something, right? And so the next set of people, they say, "I'm trying to get to 700 Club. How do I get there?" Once again, let's inspect first. But do you know where that 3-digit number comes from? That's the first question I ask people. Some collections and how long you had credit, debt to income ratio, and they start naming all these things they've heard somewhere. And I say, "Okay, well, let's talk about it." Here's another analogy. Do you have school-age children? Do you have school-age children, Miss Ma'am?
I
Okay.
do. I definitely
What
do.
do they bring home to you to let you know how well they're doing in school?
Their report
There's
card,
also a three-digit number typically associated with a report card or a transcript in college. What is that three-digit number?
their
And the
GPA.
GPA is coming from the grades on the report card or the transcript. So let's circle back. Your
Yes.
credit score is coming from the information on your credit report. If it's not there, it cannot be calculated. That is why people pay thousands of dollars to credit repair companies. I'm using air quotes because they say, we'll get this off and get this off and get this off. And you think if nothing negative is there, I'll have great credit. And I'm here to tell you, I have a client that has not one negative item on her credit report, and she has her scores are in the 500s.
Mhm.
Now,
Yep.
her expert,
Facts.
the one you hear talking now, has had 3 unpaid collections and 15 late marks, and I had a 742 credit score. So how is it possible to have all of those negative items and have a good score, and then someone have nothing negative and have a bad score? Again, that goes back into understanding how the scores are calculated in the first place. So that's just the start. Okay. I know that was a mouthful, but we have to understand like all of these things because people just spit this jargon out, dispute, refinance, credit scores, blah, blah, blah. And they don't really know what any of that means. They just hear it because it's credit talk. We have to understand what we're saying, right? So, first step is figuring out where you need to start. So, let's just say you don't have any credit cards. Well, utilization is the second highest component of how scores are calculated. So, if you're not showing usage, how can they determine how responsible you are with credit, right? Credit is I borrowed money and I'm paying someone back. The person who you borrowed money from wants their money not just back, but when they want it back. Like on this date, I want my money. So it's not just about can you pay back? That's easy. Can you pay back when the people want their money? Payment history, the highest component of how scores are calculated. What does that mean? How on time you are is great. How late you are is bad. Collections are bad. Charge offs are bad. Repos are bad. Bankruptcies are bad. And they weigh the most, so they do the most damage. Okay. So I want
Yep.
to just touch on the two things that weigh the most: your payment history and your usage. So you need credit cards. Okay. Well, I keep applying everywhere, and everyone's denying me. It goes back to inspecting. If you don't have favorable credit, don't apply for the black card. Okay, you're not gonna get that.
Thank
You're
you.
not gonna get that. Stop looking for the cards that give all the
Yes.
perks. You are not perk worthy right now, okay? You have
Yeah.
bad credit or no credit. So I don't know how responsible you are, or I've seen how irresponsible you've been. So you're not gonna get cards with cash back and airline miles and stuff. You gotta work yourself up towards that. But there are cards for people like you. So just do a little bit of research to see what cards are out there for people in my condition. Okay. Just like I'm not going to
Mhm.
apply for a credit one card. I'm not trying to crap on you guys, but I have great credit. My score is over 800. I have over $150,000 of available credit. I'm not going to apply for credit one. I'm not going to apply for a secured card. I'm going to apply for cards for people in
Right.
my situation. So don't run up so many inquiries just applying for everything that comes in the door. They just want you to just apply, right? And they want your money and they want the interest from you. Apply for cards that fit your situation. So do some research.
So, yeah, so I like tools like Nerd Wallet and a few other tools out there because you can kind of plug in your financials and they'll give you an idea and they'll tell you how likely it is for you to get those cards. So like if you don't have any other resources, like don't just like try to figure it out on your own, just like Shantae said, because more, more times than not, you're going to get
Yep.
turned down. So if you look at resources like Nerd Wallet or I don't know, Credit Karma, they have the same kind of thing where they'll give you like, hey, these are the kind of cards that with your people with your credit score typically have a high chance of getting approved for. So start somewhere
Yeah,
like
but
that.
also be careful because those are nothing but paid advertisements. They don't know what you have a high chance or getting.
Sometimes.
Like there are
Mhm.
people who they say excellent odds and then they apply and they didn't get it because they're just telling you they haven't even looked at your credit report. So how can they tell you what you have high, favor? So I mean, again, I know people use those as guides, but they also think that they're like
Mhm.
concrete. Like they said excellent odds and I was denied. Like okay, but they're just guesstimating based on the little bit of information they have on you. So yes, that's a great start, but also research beyond that. So I'm not saying don't use those,
Right.
but I can tell you that I got an email the other day where they offered me a card that I already have. So if you were basing it on information you have about me, you wouldn't tell me, hey, try the City Double Cash. I've had that card for years. Or you have excellent odds in getting this Discover Secure card. I better with the 800 score. So you gotta kind of, again, it's, we're both saying this to say the information is out there, but do your due diligence when it comes to making this next step, which is stepping out there and applying for things, because having multiple inquiries on your report with nothing to show for it also looks bad. So a lender will pull your report because you apply with them and they say, well, she's applied for 7 things in the last month and nobody gave her credit. Yeah, we're gonna back out too. So just be careful. You got to start. You
Yeah.
have to apply for credit. You can't build credit without obtaining credit, and you can't obtain credit without applying. So don't go crazy, but don't be scared of applying for credit as well. That's one of the major things. You apply for credit and use credit. Use it responsibly. Don't show
Mhm.
too much usage. Even though utilization is the second highest component, showing none hurts and showing too much hurts. They need to see that you're, responsible. So they have percentages. They don't really want to see you go over 30% of your limit and blah, blah, blah. And there's ways to do that. So first step is inspecting your credit, obtaining credit, and using it responsibly. It goes a lot deeper than this, but that's really one of the first things that you should do. How long you've had credit established is another good one. So, make sure that you're not open and closing, open and closing. A lot of people think apply for something, use it, and then close it out when you don't need it anymore. And I'm like, who's going around teaching people that? You need to show. I have my oldest card is like 14 years old. Other cards I've had longer, but they closed and they're off my report now. But they want this thing longevity. If you have perfect credit, but you're only a year into building credit, you still look risky to a lender because they're like, well, how long can she keep this up? 12 months is easy. Can you do 36 months? Can you do 4 years? So there's
Mhm.
a lot of ins and outs to this whole credit game. But if you learn the rules, you'll win the game every time.
What about people that say that credit cards are bad and you just shouldn't use credit at all?
The way people use cards are bad. The cards aren't bad. And I know that came from grandma, cash only. Grandpa said, no credit. It's because they didn't know what they were doing either because their parents didn't teach them. So we all just keep growing up and adulting, and generation after generation, we're all adulting blindly. We don't know what we're doing, but we have student loans, we got car notes, we got 5 credit cards, and we don't know what we're doing. And then we're checking Credit Karma for scores. We'll talk about that a little later. And then just we're not looking at the right things, and we don't have the proper education. So I love people like my girl right here who I'm talking to, who is so passionate about the information getting out to you guys so that you guys thrive and that you guys win. You need credit. I just said utilization is the second highest component. So you need credit. You have to use it. People say I was in major debt. I finally got myself out. It took years and I cut all my credit cards up. No more credit cards. Why is my score dropping? You don't have anything to show. You have to borrow money to show credit worthiness. Cash, yes, is great, but it's not showing that you can build credit. It's not showing that, yes, I'm responsible when I borrow money. It shows that I can work a job, get paid, and pay for things I want with my cash. That's not showing credit. So, yes, please use credit cards. And she asked that great question because I'm sure she hears it all the time, and I do too. So use credit, but use it for money that you have already. That is what I want to hone in
Mhm.
on. Don't borrow for things you
Yes,
don't have
thank
the money
you.
for. If I don't have the money, then I'm
Yes.
not buying it. And here's the thing that people don't get. You have a billing cycle. Every credit card does. And then there's a due date. Your due date is about 25 days after your cycle closes. They say, hey, we know you borrowed from us. It would be very unfair for us to say you owe us the money back in a week. So we give you about a month. But that month gives people, I have the money, but I need it over here. So now you spent the money you charge something for. Then when the bill comes, you don't have it all. So you say, I'll just pay the minimum. They're not giving us that minimum payment because they like us. They're like, oh, okay, you bought something you couldn't afford and you can't pay us back. And that's okay. We're gonna make more money off you for borrowing from us and not giving us the money back when we said we want it. They want it on the due date. Be able to pay in full on the due date. The only things, and yes, I'm trying to get us out of that too, because we all want wealth, that you should be paying interest on are like huge purchases that you know you're not gonna have the cash for, like college education, a home or a car. And those are still, we're all trying to get to the point where we can throw cash at these things and not have to worry about it. But going to the store and buying something on sale, how much of a sale did you get if you're paying interest on it?
That's why I say 25% off is 75%
Say
off.
it.
Like, stop playing.
Say it.
Like, and if you put in some credit card on it as well. actually 0% off, and you probably paying more than it's worth because now you paying interest on it. So it just doesn't make any
And I
sense.
always tell people, people always look at when is it due and how much is due. They don't look at how much of that money they paid is actually going towards the balance and how much is going towards the interest. They don't ever look at those figures. They say, when is it due? How much is due? You have to look at that. I had a client pull all her credit cards that were active and open that had balances. I had her write all the amounts that she paid in interest on one card. I said, so open your Capital One statements and write down every month for a year that you paid interest. So you should have 12 amounts on your piece of paper. She's like, okay. I said, and then after you do that with all your cards. She was like, oh. I said, right. If you're gasping, you already know that you're not using your cards properly.
Right.
So at the end of the week, she emailed me and said she had $2,900 in just interest paid in a year. She said, I could have used that to pay off these
Ooh.
collections. You think? Would you
Duh.
write a check to a
Mhm.
credit card company randomly? Just here's $35. I just feel like being nice to you guys this month. You wouldn't do that. So why are you allowing them to take money from you just for paying for something you couldn't afford to? So yes, use
Mhm.
credit, but don't. I use all my credit cards except two for my bills. So every bill that I have, I link it to a credit card. That way I know it's going to get used every month. I'm keeping it under the percentage that FICO wants to see, and I pay in full. I'm not paying interest on gas or cable or FiOS or my cell phone. If I don't pay interest paying them directly, I'm not going to pay interest now because I'm charging it, right? So I charge it. It serves
Mhm.
three purposes. It's showing utilization, I'm getting cash back and perks, and it's also showing that I'm a great consumer. Okay. So use credit cards for things you have the money for, not things you think you're going to have the money for in 25 days. Because I told you the bill's not due for almost a month. You should be able to take credit card, pay for something, and think in my brain, if this was due tomorrow, I would have the money. Not I'm
Mhm.
gonna have it in a month. You should have it then. Now, technically, we know it's not going to be due tomorrow, but start to use that mindset. That will help you not to charge things that you can't afford because month after month, those charges add up. So yeah, maybe yesterday you only used it for dinner with your girlfriends. Then Sunday was a brunch. And then the next weekend was a sale at Macy's. And then next thing you know, it's $800 on the card for only 30 days of usage. So just really be careful, guys. I know we all love
I
shopping.
use right. What helps me with my accountability for credit cards, because it's kind of hard. It can be kind of hard to remember, especially if you use it for daily purchases like things in the grocery store. So my budgeting app, what it does is automatically takes the money out of my budget and puts it aside for my credit card payment. So I use YNAB, like you need a budget. And as soon as you pay something or charge something on your credit card, it automatically, if you have like your food category, it automatically deducts that from that category and puts that payment onto your credit card to make sure that you have it. And so I think,
What? Look, I'm an expert. I'm like, it does all of that. I never knew because I need that. I need that.
right. But I mean, it doesn't physically do it in your
Right. But
bank
it just,
account, but it does it in your
yeah.
budget. So then I only have $50 left in my food budget because I already spent it. And now that money is already allocated to your credit card. So it makes your credit card balances. It'll show how much you have available to pay towards your credit card.
I hear people
Yep.
talk about YNAB all the time. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do my little budget on my piece of paper, but I love that. So thank you. I'm going to sign up for that.
Yes.
Thank you. Because I don't use debit cards
Yes.
at all. I use credit cards for everything. So it is
Mhm.
hard when you have
Mhm.
9 credit cards
Yes.
and you're like, what's due, what's here, what's there.
Yeah, that was, and that's the biggest challenge in budgeting is kind of trying to figure out what's allocated. And I know it took their
I
programmer some
know.
time to figure that out in the back end because that's not something like if you have a paper budget or even an Excel spreadsheet, it's hard to do to figure out credit cards because they're not immediately due. But basically creates a little bank in the app where your money is going and it shows that, okay, I've taken out this $5 from your food budget and put it into your credit card. So now it's spent there. And then the other thing I like about YNAB is they have incredible tutorials, even on the app. You just tap on the tutorials and it'll say like how paying for credit cards or paying for things on credit cards work, and it'll walk you
Oh,
through that
I love. I
process.
mean, I like I said, I
Yeah.
never really
Hmm.
dug deep into it, but I see people in my group ask about it. People say I've been using it for years, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I love that because here's the thing. So I have all of my credit cards linked to bills, and then I have two that I use
Hmm.
everyday spending, like just whatever. But
Right. Hmm.
I'm not the most careful with making sure. it's set aside. So then at the end of the month, I'm like,
Yeah.
$2,700. It's like, how did that?
Yeah.
I have it, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to pay all that at one time. So like it's like for you, like using that app, it's like if I know weekly, this is how much I would need to cover that, then I would pay like I would pay it weekly because it's hard to see that amount
Yeah.
at one time. And I'm like, oh my God. So like,
Yeah, yeah, and then you like, "Oh, I need to tighten up
yeah.
on my groceries." Like, I already spent this much on groceries, like, and right now, girl, I'm in like straight like I'm looking at every single dime because I'm about to go on
Hmm.
maternity leave and that money is gonna be cut. I'm like, let me make sure I'm not overspending because when you got it, it's
It
just
happens
like,
so
okay,
easy. Yep.
whatever. But yeah, it's so easy, and so I've been going through and being like, "Oh, no, we this close to this grocery budget, let's figure out some strategic ways, like, what's in the
Yeah.
freezer, like, what's going on? Because I got too much stuff."
And listen, it's only 3 of us in here, and
Yeah,
I'm
so
like, "Why are we spending $800 on groceries?" Because I don't have a grocery budget. When we need stuff, I just go on and Instacart is not helping. I don't go in the grocery store and say, "Oh, so much." Like, click,
exactly.
click, click. It's like, "Would you like to buy again?" I'll go to the buy again section and just click down everything. It's like, you don't need all of that. You just seeing it because
Why
right,
do
and
you
so,
need
yes,
that?
thank you, girl.
Yep.
Listen, guys, I'm being
Mm.
transparent with you guys too, and we all fall short to the glory, God. But yeah, it's really serious. Like, so just because you have it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be budgeting either. So take it from us.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So circling back, so you
Yeah.
got the inspection, you need to see where you're starting, get credit, obtain it, use it responsibly. Don't go over your, 30% of your limit if you can help it. And then trying to like create the history with your credit. Don't open a lot in a short amount of time because you look debt thirsty and that looks less favorable. If you want more available credit, start asking the cards you already have for increases. Don't just keep applying for things. You don't need 15 cards. Well, I have more than that, but it's been over the course of years. Store cards, if you
Mhm.
know you are not the most responsible and you do retail therapy and you shop when you're depressed, do not go get these store cards because you can only use them at that store. Okay. And if you don't have the money for something and you have to charge it, it better be something you need to survive. Like I need groceries for me and my kids. The lights need to be stay on. I have to pay my child's tuition for school. Even though we should be building savings, and I know that's a topic she touched on before, and that's a different topic for today. But the store cards get us in trouble because you can only shop at that store. And I'm depressed. I need to go shopping. I feel lonely or sad. And then you have all these clothes. Did they make you feel better really? When you get that bill, you feel worse. And so think what's the end in mind. When you're a little depressed and you want to shop, think
Yes.
about, am I gonna feel happy when I get this bill? But yeah, it's like try to get those major credit cards that you can leverage and use multiple places so that you can build those
Yeah.
those airline miles and build those points. I live in the DC area. I've flown to San Jose, California, and Miami and Orlando and Columbus in 1 year just using my Southwest points because I use that card for
Mhm.
everything. I don't care if I'm just going to get a sandwich from Subway. I use it for everything because it's building those points and I pay in full when it's due. I'm not paying interest on food that you eat and you poop out your butt a
Same.
month before the bill came and now you're paying interest on food. That doesn't make sense, guys. Let's be really smart with our purchases. So that's the kind of
Same. I have
go
to
ahead.
say, I use that Southwest card. I can't remember the last time I spent money on a Southwest flight. And it's me and I usually travel with my kids too. So we rarely use it. So like the combination of Rapid Rewards points and that Southwest card, because my kids got hella points because they
Oh,
love to
there's one
travel.
kid.
So we have yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is a
Yeah.
great
So
card. But that's one of those cards that actually, full transparency, I didn't qualify for that card until maybe like I said, I filed for my bankruptcy in 2010. I didn't qualify for that card for a very, very long time. I think maybe like 3 years ago was actually when I qualified for that card. So that is one of those cards you ain't just gonna go out here
okay.
and just get because it's Chase. It's one of Chase's
Yep.
higher
Mhm.
tier cards, and so it's really hard to get. But Chase does have cards like that have a lot less barrier to entry. So you have to. That's why you have to understand the game, and there's so many resources out there to understand what credit cards you can get at different tiers. But yeah, you have to understand that because you ain't gonna get qualified. And believe me,
You
I
heard it from the horse's
could have
mouth,
benefited
y'all.
from this card a
Yep.
long time ago, but I could not qualify for this card for a long time. And they say that they don't look at your bankruptcy really, but anytime, like I would always ask for, what are those people called that you can call and talk
A
to?
reconsideration.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, the reconsideration people. I used to always call and be like, everything else is perfect except for this bankruptcy. And they were like, well, that's not necessarily it. And I'm just
Yes,
like,
it
it
is.
is, because after a certain period of time, they were just like,
Right.
great, you can have
Mhm.
it. And then here's free tickets. Here's your companion pass too. I'm just like, okay, I
They was
see
out
what
there
it
3 years
is.
ago.
But it took over 10
Thank you
years.
for saying that. When I
Hmm.
went through cancer. I was diagnosed at 22 with stage 3 cancer, and because I was getting my chemo and radiation, I wasn't able to work full time. So I charged up a lot of credit card debt, just trying to live and stay afloat. And then when I was trying to rebuild after I was, in remission and everything, the credit expert, had to get a $300 secured Bank of America card just to try to with a $29 annual fee, might I add, just to try to build myself. Exactly,
Damn.
$300 secured in an annual fee. Kick rocks. But anyway, it helped me. So, and I'm going to touch on something before I know we kind of wrap up. Now I have 20 credit cards, $200,000 of available credit, 800 something credit score. So I say all that to say, don't look at those little cards and be like and crap on them. Like that was a stepping stone. That was a tool for me. Now, of course, once I got better cards, I just did away with that card. And yes, it's still on my credit report, even though I closed it out because I'm like, why would I keep a? Now they did unsecured after a year, but a $300 limit, they never
Yeah.
raised it, and an annual fee. No, I don't think so. So I did close it, but that history is still on my credit report because it will stay for another 10 years after my last payment. So the myth that you shouldn't close credit cards because you lose the history, no. Remember what I said at the beginning. Your credit score is calculated based on the information on the report. If it's still on your report, then all that history counts towards your credit score. So, yes, when you get in a better position, it is safe to close those cards out. You're not going to lose the history. But yeah, you need to start out with cards that are for people like you and use it as a stepping stone. Don't feel embarrassed about it. Oh, I had to pay $500 to get a secure card. Okay, great. Use it as a tool. Okay. Yeah, I just don't. I want you guys to learn these ropes. Start learning. Start researching
Yeah.
yourself. Even you hear me talking, I could be saying a whole bunch of BS to you guys right now, but I'm not. But even say, I heard Shante say something about this. Let me go look it up. I heard her mention this. Let me go
Yes.
and even still be careful about what you look up because everybody on Google ain't expert to you. So just really be careful, do some research, compare what one article is saying to another, compared to what I'm saying, but really the rebuilding and repairing process, it's scary, especially if you have no idea what you're doing. But once you have a roadmap, most people feel really comfortable, jumping out there and getting started. If I don't know where I'm going, I'm never not using my GPS. Okay. I'm not gonna just get in the car and be like, all right, girl, let's figure it out. Now I might make it there. It may take me
Right.
7 hours if I use the GPS and it took me 45 minutes. So stop guessing. Stop holding back your progress because you keep spending too much time trying to figure it out. There are experts out here who you can enlist their help. And I'm not, some of them want your money and you can vet those ones that you can tell are just genuine and really want to help you and teach you what you need to know, not only to repair and rebuild, but maintain it. I'm not here to teach you how to fix your credit so you get the
Hmm.
house and then you get in the house and now your credit's messed up again and now you're hiring me again. No, I teach you so that you don't need me anymore. That is the goal. I want to push you out of the
Yes.
nest, little birdies. So learn it and do it. Football coaches are not on the field playing with the players. The players come off the field, the coach tells them go what to do, and they do it and they win. So you need to learn the rules,
Yep.
get with the coach if you need one, so you can go out there and win the game.
Can you, Shante, explain the difference between a secure credit card and like a builder
Oh, yes, I
loan?
love that. So, another factor in how your scores are calculated is your credit mix, right? So, what does that mean? There are two types of credit that exist: revolving and installment. Revolving lines of credit. So, if you ever hear that fancy term, it just means credit cards. So, how many revolving lines of credit do you have? How many credit cards do you have? Think about a revolving door. When you walk in that door, you walk in, you walk out, you walk in, out. And if you never leave, you just keep rotating. Same with credit card. You use it, you pay back. You use it, you pay back. It's an open revolving account. Installment lines are fixed payments. So imagine a contractor coming to your house installing a deck. off your porch. And then when he leaves, you're like, yeah, I don't really like it there. I want to push it 6 feet over. It's installed already. It's fixed. You can't change it. So those are like mortgages. It's the same amount you pay every month. It's a personal loan, your student loan, your auto loan, so that's fixed, right? So FICO wants to see, can you handle a healthy mix of revolving and installment? Because how you pay them is greatly different from each other. So secured card is a credit card. It's a revolving line of credit that the lender says, okay, your credit is bad, but it's not bad, bad. So like we trust you, but we really don't, but we do. So what we'll do is extend you a line of credit, but you have to give us collateral. All right. So if you want a $300 limit, you give us $300. We'll safely put it in the account for you. And now you can use that card the same way you would use an unsecured card. Okay. A lot of people confuse secured cards with prepaid cards. It's not your money that you giving them, and every time you swipe, it's deducting from your money. And when you pay, it's replenishing your note. It's set aside for you. That is just collateral to say, I promise to use this card responsibly, and here's a good faith amount to show that, right? And so some lenders have secured cards that do eventually become unsecured, and then some don't. So the only way to get your money back is to close it out. And remember what I said, if you get better cards way down the road, close out that secured card, get your money back. But try to get the ones that graduate to unsecured. That way you're not closing cards out. So that's a secured revolving line. So she asked about credit builder loans. Let me give an example. Two companies that I partner with are Credit Strong and Self, used to be called Self Lender. The way they work, so a lot of people say, well, should I take out a loan to just show good credit history? And I'm like, so you're going to borrow money that you don't need to pay for things you don't need just to show good credit? No. If you need a loan, sure, but not just for that reason. So Credit Strong and Self Lender said, you know what, we want to help these consumers out. So we're going to partner with some banks, okay? And they're going to apply with us, and they're going to choose a term, 24 months, and choose an amount, $1,000. So they're going to give us $48 every month, and we're going to put it in an account for them. So it's almost like a savings too. So we're going to build that credit and save up, right? So two birds with one stone. But it's going to help build their credit, because when we report to the credit bureaus, it's going to look like a regular traditional loan. Nobody's going to know it's us. It's going to say Austin Bank. It's going to say whatever bank that we partner with. So to a lender, it looks like, ooh, Shante got a loan. She's paying on time every month. Okay, look at that. Now, I'm just paying myself. That's why they call it self-lender. You're lending the money to yourself. Credit Strong, I don't know where that came from, but we all want strong credit. So it's a savings account and a credit builder account in one. So you're not borrowing money to pay for something you don't need just to show that you're making on-time payments for a loan you didn't need. You're paying yourself, and then at the end of the term, guess what? You get that money back with very, very little interest. But an account like that, it's a no-brainer. If you don't need that account, if you don't need to add to do not sign up for an account like that, because people do that because, one of my clients didn't have a good mix. So when she added Self, her score jumped. Another client said, I added it and it didn't do anything. I said, well, why did you add it? Because I saw somebody else do it. And I'm like, you didn't need it. Let's talk about what a credit mix is. So we went over her credit report. Now, did you need that? No. I said, okay, close it and get your money back. But it's really to help you if you need to show a good mix, some stronger payment history. Maybe you screwed up in the past and you're trying to just show that. And it's easy when the money just comes out of your account and it's, I'm going into an account for you. So at the end of your term, they send you a check or they self-direct deposit it. But it's an amazing tool if you need it. If you need it. I did it because I didn't need it, but I said, if I'm going to introduce something like this to my audience, I need to test it out myself first.
Yep.
So I did that. I
Yep.
think I picked the $550 one. I got my money back at the end of the year. I went to Vegas. Like I was like, hey, I forgot about it, because it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind as well. So I will say, if you don't need it to build your credit, but you have a hard time proactively, do something like that where it takes it from you and you're not even really thinking about it. And then when they send you that check, you put that in a savings account, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. A lot of people do it also for the Christmas holiday. Christmas comes at the same time every year, y'all. Why y'all act like y'all so shocked that December 25th is coming? It's on the same date and month every year since Jesus. Okay. So, but people don't save. They just wait till November, Friday, then they charge up everything for Christmas, and then they're still paying that bill the next Christmas. No lies. Okay,
Mm,
so yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of people, again, they see people sign up for that. It looks great. Their scores are going up, so they do it too. They don't even know how it works. And so start signing up for stuff that if you don't know how it's supposed to help you guys.
yes. So let's just do a recap before we wrap up. So if you need to rebuild your credit or you're starting from scratch, you need to, well, let's talk about rebuilding. So you need to investigate like your credit report, like why is your credit bad? Figure that out. Then we can create a roadmap on where to start. You have to build your credit by using credit. So you have to get some credit lines in place, but apply for the credit cards that you qualify for. And that's going to take some research. Also, like your group, Shante, your Facebook group is full of resources and a great place to ask questions like if you don't know. So that's a great place to start as well. When you are using these credit cards, number one, like secure cards and the credit builder loans are great places to start. But when you're using your credit cards, make sure you're using them for things that you can pay for and not balling out just because you have this credit line available for you. And then just continue to do that over and over again, rinse and repeat. And that's how you grow your credit or rebuild
Perfect.
your
And the
credit.
only other thing is just because everybody love that score, understand where that score comes from. If you know how this, I ask people all the
Yes.
time. I'm gonna ask you. Tell me three different ways to come up to the sum of 12. So how? Tell me three ways we can get to number 12.
We can do six
Mm-hmm.
times two. We can do a four
Mm-hmm.
plus eight. We can do
Look at that.
10
She
plus
told
two.
me
But
I
it's
can calculate the number 12 in three different ways. So I say, I
mhm.
asked her how to get to number 12. You say, I want to get to a 700 score. And I say, well, okay, tell me how those are calculated. I don't know. We have to know that, guys. Really look at how scores are
Yes.
calculated because if you know how they're calculated, then you can say, oh, well, I don't have a good mix. I didn't even know that was oh, my usage is really high. Let me get it down. Well, I did miss that payment, so I know I dropped 30 points, but let me focus on my payment history. You can figure out why your score is the way it is if you understand how FICO came up with that number. It's not like the lottery, guys. It's not some ball rotating numbers and they give you, okay, I'm gonna give her a 7, 2, and a 5. That's her number for the night. No, it comes from somewhere. There's a calculation. So it's all about education and research.
Okay, and let people know if they want to join the challenge
By
by
today, guys.
today, how they can join it and how they can get in
So
contact
if
and
you're
work
in
with
my
you.
group, you can just type the 30-day credit challenge in the search and the post will come up. If you're not, you can visit my website, financialcommonsense.org, since it's spelled CENTS like money. And then you can click on the credit 30-day credit booster GPS challenge. And so it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an exclusive group where the sessions are going to be held, weekly giveaways and prizes, a exclusive group me chat where we're just going to be chatting all day long. And I'm going to be answering questions. I'm going to tell you, if y'all inbox me separately, I do not answer questions via inbox. There's too many people in my group for that. But if you're in the challenge, you have me for 30 days. So you better take advantage. And you get a 90 page guide that's going to help you from beginning to end.
I love it. And I'm going to join the challenge just for fun because it's never enough. Like, I can't learn enough about this. And so I geek out on it. And so I'm going to be in that challenge because, hey, whose credit
Hey,
can't
let me
use a
tell you.
boost? So
Mine too. I'm still trying to get to 850.
you'll see me in the group. You'll see me in the group, but thank you again, Shante, for dropping gems. As usual, make sure I'll put all the links in the bio. Make sure you click those. Make sure you're in Shantae's Facebook group. Where are you at now?
No, listen, I
300,000?
would be, but my block list is strong. I don't just accept any old body, so I don't care
Yes,
about the numbers.
honey.
103,
Yes.
103, just a little humble brag still.
Hey, yes. Yes, yes. All right,
Thank
Shante. Thank
you.
you so much.